Okay, so if we're going over some really top tier SMGs, right? We don't even have to go that far back to even look at some of some really good ones. So the weapons that we're obviously going to be talking about today are two weapons that received relatively recent buffs. That being none other than the Crit SMG from Moze, and then the Kybs Worth that you obviously get from the Motherboard takedown. So anyways, fellas, let's just go ahead, hop right into it, and let's just start talking about it. So I guess the first thing is first. We'll talk about how you obtain each weapon and stuff like that. The Crit is obviously probably one of the most easy, one of the easiest weapons in the game to obtain, only requiring you to tip Moze inside a sanctuary, where she will then go ahead and mail you a copy or a hail, whatever. Just give it a few, just tip her a few times. Eventually, she's just gonna put it in your mail for you, which is very easy, very self-explanatory. And then obviously the Kybs Worth you have to get only from the Wotan fight and the Motherboard takedown. True or scaled, it doesn't matter. So right now my Kybs Worth is sitting at about, I want to say 8200 per pellet, and it's a ×3 variant, which is pretty nice, sitting about like basically almost 24k per pellet. And then we have the Crit, which is sitting at just shy of like 26k. And obviously this is a single shot weapon, a single pellet weapon, so we're not gonna get multiple pellets out of this thing or anything. However, I will say that part of the reason that I put these two up against a wall and each other, obviously they are both received some relatively recent buffs, right? You had the Crit receive its buff in February, and the Kybs receive its buff literally like 2.5 weeks ago. Both of these guns act in a way that they will keep you alive, keep you sustainable. Obviously, the Kybs Worth, I think it's every 10 seconds, whenever you kill an enemy, they drop a pool that you can stand in that will heal you. Back in the gap, bro, that was actually very useful, especially before like Moze had any of her like good health regen other than like Vampire. You know what I'm saying? Before Russian Offensive got its lifesteal. Before what was the other perk that got? I want to say it's redistribution. Anyways, point being, I'm digressing, is that the Kybs Worth is pretty cool in a way that every time you kill an enemy, well, not every time, but every 10 seconds when you kill an enemy, they drop a pool of health, or like a healing pool, justice pool, cleansing pool, whatever the fuck you want to call it. You stand in there, it'll regen your health. Very useful. Honestly, these days though, I feel like, I don't know about you guys, I'm not a big co-op guy, so I mean that could be useful for co-op people. Me personally though, since I'm mostly a solo player, I find standing in one spot whenever I'm playing this game kind of boring. So I really don't make that use out of the Kybs Worth's main perk all that often, you know what I'm saying? Now, for the Crit, that's an entirely different story. The Crit just has built-in lifesteal into it. So you tag somebody with it, you're going to get a percentage of the damage you dealt back as healing, as health. Obviously, that is very solid, very good. Part of the reason why a lot of people like the Crit is just because it'll just keep you alive, especially as a Moze player, bro. You can literally just sit there and face tank and everything while you're just absolutely dousing enemies with this thing. The Crit is just so cracked. Now, the Crit does have a absolute gross crit multiplier, I believe. Mine is sitting at 150%. It's either 150% or 190%. Either way, the Crit does have a very devastatingly good crit multiplier. Obviously, it's called the Crit for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And the Kybs Worth, honestly, the Kybs Worth being a ×3 can be a little bit tricky sometimes for me. However, we are able to just, for the most part, stay within the same mag for the Kybs Worth, because we're using both a Blastmaster for both of these. You know what I'm saying? A Blastmaster is by far like my favorite type of like class mod to use on Moze especially, and then for some of my SMGs and stuff like that, Blastmaster just puts in work. Obviously for these types of weapons, especially for like the Crit, a green monster would work really well, because the Crit is locked into shock damage. Obviously the Kybs Worth being a Maliwan weapon can always roll two type of elements, which is very solid. For me, we have a radiation and cryo Kybs Worth. And we are obviously running a Blastmaster. Once again, a green monster could be really well. My super could also be pretty good. Bloodletter if you're running URAD builds, and if you honestly don't use a sapper. If you have a Crit and you're gonna use a sapper, you're just wasting the sapper. You're literally just wasting a class mod spot. So I would 100% not use a sapper with either of these weapons. Now, I will go ahead and say that both of these weapons are having consecutive hits, anointment, which is obviously very good. We are running a Pearl, we are running a CMT, we are running double capstone and the blue tree, and we are running double capstones and the green tree. Making sure that we are built different, making sure that we never have to really reload, make sure we have the extra 100% splash damage from the Blastmaster up at all times. which is going to help us out for doing high amounts of damage, obviously, right? We also do have big sexy surplus on both of these for both of these setups in the gameplay, just for we can since basically my logic is that if I'm not going to use some for the road, I will use Iron Cub. Otherwise I will actually use Iron Bear, just so I can proc some for the road for certain weapons, you know what I'm saying, like for the red line, for the Sandhawk, weapons like that. Anyways, for the most part though, for these weapons, nah fam, just put on your Iron Cub, get your big sexy surplus, get your 3 to 5 out of Drowning in Brass, and go to work, go wreck some face, dude. These weapons are very top tier in their class. Honestly, I would say that both of these SMGs are top 10 SMGs in the game, especially after they got their buff. Now before their buffs, no way. I remember, dude, I made a video on the Kybs Worth a little bit ago, and I was super disappointed by how like bad the Kybs Worth had just like fallen off, bro. Like it just fell flat on its face. It was just big sad, big sage mode across the board, you know what I'm trying to tell you. And for the crit, honestly, bro, I never really used the crit all that much. I used it a little bit back in Mayhem 3, but whenever it got its buff, that's when I actually started pulling it back out of the vault, and this thing was an absolute bruiser. Also, another reason why I am using a Blastmaster in a setup where I'm trying to not reload other than being on Moze in general is because the crit has I think it's a 5 or 8% chance to fall out of your hand whenever you reload it. If you watch any of my videos where I use the crit, you'll notice that I probably have reloaded twice, and out of all of videos combined put together, I don't reload this thing ever. I don't ever want to have this thing drop out of my hands. Like I remember one time, bro, when the crate first got its buff, bro, I was watching Moxie stream. He was doing the takedown. He reloaded it. That bitch fell straight off the goddamn edge. So I'm not repeating that mistake. You know what I'm trying to tell you, my boy. Obviously, the Kybs Worth doesn't have that problem. It's just a little bit unique thing to the crits. If you're on other like Vault Hunters and stuff like that, to where you will eventually have to reload somewhat, do keep that in mind, that will happen at on some occasions and can be a little bit annoying. Honestly, for the Kybs Worth though, I probably would say I like my ×3 better on it, bro. The ×3 on the Kybs Worth just does so much ding damage. It's very good, very good. Overall though, guys, if I'm gonna have to pick one SMG over the other, they're very narrow, but I'm gonna have to give this one to the crit. The crit having the ability to where our mag size is chilling over 80 for an SMG is very, very good. Having a base damage of like 26k for an SMG is very good, with a very, very strong crit multiplier. You just can't go wrong with that. It's just very useful, and it's just gonna help you out overall for sure, for sure. And I didn't even mention the fact that, this thing has built-in lifesteal. Who doesn't like built-in lifesteal? I know I do. I love me some built-in lifesteal. You know what I'm trying to tell you. Obviously, the 5% or 5-8% chance to drop this thing on reload is kind of annoying. But for me, I only really use this thing on Moze, and I don't fucking reload. I'm built different. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, though, guys, Kybs Worth is obviously a very, very good competitor. No slandering. Whenever I do these videos, guys, I never slander the weapons we're talking about. We're just putting them together and talking about them, which one I like better at the end of it. And for me, for this set, I gotta give it to the crit SMG. But let me know what you guys think, guys. Let me know which SMG you like better out of the two, crit SMG or the Kybs Worth. I want to know. And also, guys, if y'all are new around here, please do consider subscribing, as we do post daily content just like this on the channel. If you like Borderlands 3, like daily content, please consider subscribing. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers, trying to hit that by the end of the year. And that, though, guys, thank y'all so much for watching to the very end. My name's Kree. Hope y'all enjoyed, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.
Me